If you want to create positive change, then a great way to do this is by getting more active. From walking, running, to fitness through strength training, we want to help you make that change. We need you to remember though that before you make any changes that you do need to speak to a doctor. But if it's something that you feel can help you and you're looking for that support, then the right place to listen to today is the Inside the Orange podcast. Welcome back to another episode of the Inside the Orange podcast. And this week, we will be breaking down the activity part of the 6 segments that we're bringing you in this season's Inside the Orange podcast. Before we get into today's episode, though, we are going to explain how you can get in touch with the podcast, how you can follow us, and where you can let us know what you're doing to help support your own positive change. At the Inside the Orange podcast, we're about creating positive change through organisation, reading, activity, nutrition, gratitude and engagement. And you can follow us on YouTube, Instagram at Inside the Orange, on X at Orange Watts, and the Inside the Orange podcast on Facebook. We want you to reach out and help build the community. Yeah, so don't forget to reach out and get in touch and let us know your stories of how you are supporting your positive change. For now, though, let's get into the conversation I had with my great friend Kip about what we need to do to help support positive change using activity. So probably something that people associate me more with over the last few years has been the Walk for Autism the campaigns we've been doing over the last few years and that level of activity. And I always get the same question of how do you walk that far? How do you do it? How do you kind of go through that? I'm not the most kind of physical or active person in the world the rest of the time. But I think it's a really important thing to kind of look at that. One of the big areas for me, I think, was about changing what I did. I think I used to run for a while. I got a little bit overweight, quite a bit overweight actually. And I think running became quite challenging. So it was about taking a step back and thinking, what can you do? And that was more about walking. So I think similar to what we've kind of discussed in the previous episodes, it's about breaking it down, isn't it? Activity. When we say activity, we're not just talking about people that want to go out and run marathons. It's about people that want to just up that activity. And there's so many options. As ever, I've got Kip with me today. And I know, Kip, this is one of your big areas. So start with me then. As I said, my misconceptions were probably that we need to be marathon runners in this. How simple can activity be for you?
Doing the housework. Simple as that. Hoovering the stairs, taking your dog for a walk, walking around the block, whatever gets you out moving, whatever gets you starting. Can be as simple as you like, can be as difficult as you like. But yeah, even doing housework.
Awesome stuff. I'm now going to have my wife glaring at me across the room as this plays back when I absolutely go, see, it's simple. That's all you need to do. But it is really simple. But why one, do we make it challenging? And two, why is it a passion of yours? So why do we find it challenging to start?
It's the same as anything, isn't it? It's getting out and it's starting something, isn't it? It's one of them things that people think, you know, like you say, you need to be a marathon runner to go out and do or be super fit. And everybody starts somewhere. Do you know what I mean? So, like a big passion of mine is strength training, resistance training. People, it's that kind of not wanting to go to the gym kind of thing, being anxious about being seen in the gym. If you're not, you don't know what you're doing. So that can kind of put a lot of people off. It's again knowledge. I go back to reading. It's gaining knowledge on all this stuff, isn't it? If you you're not sure how to do something, how to start something, it can be quite off-putting. But like I say, it can be simple as doing a housework, taking the dog for a walk, walking around the block, just starting small and gaining from there. In terms of strength training, I taught myself from YouTube videos, basically, in my shed, in my garage. And I went to a gym with a friend, and it kind of started from there. I do a lot of it at home now in my garage, but yeah, just it's starting, isn't it? It's the same as anything.
And I think, again, you made a really good point there. And I think I was speaking to someone the other day, and I think, yeah, gyms can be quite off-putting because we can walk into a gym and without being unfair, there's possibly a very specific person you might see in the gym or a specific style that can be quite off-putting for people, isn't it? Some people, if they're
Yeah.
going to the gym the first time, a little bit overweight or, quite a bit overweight, but are there for the same reason. Now, these people are fantastically lovely people. They're not interested. I'm probably sure they're more interested in their own workout than anyone who walks through the door. But we get that conception in our head that everyone's looking at me, don't we? Is that what do you think people are put off from the gym?
Absolutely, yeah. Just that lack of knowledge and yeah, just that anxiety of who's looking at me. Do I know what I don't know what I'm doing, kind of thing. I don't know how to use this machine. But again, a lot of gyms offer these introductory sessions, don't they, where they teach you how to use the stuff. And you've got to remember, not everyone's always as interested in you as you think you are, as you think they are. So, but it is hard to get out of that mindset, definitely.
Absolutely, yes, it is. And again, going back to reading, we've covered reading on the last episode, but I'm currently reading the mind management, the chimp paradox, and that
Great.
emotional feeling of what's going on over the reality of what is actually in your control. And
You create scenarios in your head, don't
mm,
you? And they're always worse than the reality. That's just life,
mm.
isn't it? That's what people do. And yeah, it's that kind of thing, isn't it?
Yeah, and it particularly becomes, um, I think, more prevalent when it is about activity, and again, it might go back to the time. I mean, many years ago, millions of years ago, and that kind of having to be the biggest, the bravest, the strongest, the fittest, the fastest. We've got that insecurity. If we're probably not one of those five things, if in one sense, but there's only so many people on the planet that could actually claim that they are one of those five
There you
ilk.
go. We're in what do they call it, a comfort pandemic, aren't we, at the moment, where everyone's too comfortable and doesn't
Mm.
like to go out of their comfort zone. And going back to reading, there's a good book I read about not being out of your comfort zone. And yeah, we're in a comfort pandemic where everything's just on tick. It's streaming TV. It's a instant lifestyle that people are after these days, isn't it? And it's not very conducive to getting out and doing more of the basic stuff that we should be doing.
100%. And I think, again, similar to something I've read, there's a million reasons why we can't, but there's only one that says we can, and it is just tie up your shoes and get out. Almost it's breaking that boundary to that level, isn't it? Of we could, we can't go out because we can't run today because it's raining. We can't do this because it's that. We can't. Oh, my gym's closed, or it's the wrong hours. It's wrong. We'll make a million reasons why we can't. But like you say, walking your dog, mowing your lawn, anything that is going to make you more active than you currently are. And you're right, that comfort pandemic is such a challenge because, and we've probably brought it on ourselves, things like Amazon, where we can order something now and get it by 10 p.m. tonight. We
Bit of
don't have
binge
to move.
watching and all that kind of thing. And yeah, it's
Yeah.
just conducive to sitting in your house, isn't it? Isn't it? We sit in our houses, we drive in our cars to the office, we sit in the office, we drive back. It's yeah, we call it a comfort pandemic we're in at the moment. So
Absolutely, it's really well put, and I think yes, and this series, this is what we want to do. We want people to share it, and we want to break it down. Like you said, you've put weights and things in your garage, in your shed. You've got them accessible to yourself. I didn't enjoy running or kept getting injuries from running, so I broke it down to walking. It's about just reframing that, isn't it? It's about reframing what we're doing and actually going, how can I make this as simple for me? And I think we get to that point where, and again, it comes to our next subject we're going to be talking about is about nutrition. The stuff we're putting into our bodies might actually be stopping us from doing this activity as well, because we're eating things that are making us sluggish, making us do all the things that make us completely not want to go and be active.
definitely, yeah.
Mm. So is it so we've obviously walked together. So people who actually know the podcast and have followed the social medias know that you've actually joined me on a 30-mile epic adventure.
32 miles, yeah.
I forget. You always point out to me that I took you further than I needed to. Absolutely.
A little bit off course, yeah.
But I want to take back. I said to you, and I think I messaged you not long after that, how much I enjoyed that day. And I know you, on reflection, felt that you may have needed to train a little bit more. Sorry for putting you on the spot with that. But we both walked away from that in such a good place. I think that's why where we are now is that. And it's a lot to do with that walk, because the sights, the sounds, the smells, the conversations, it was immense, wasn't it?
Oh, it's a great day. Great day. Yeah, really, really, really enjoyable. Not so much afterwards, my two sprained ankles, but yeah, not practicing was a bit of a not a smart move. But yeah, it was a great. I mean, you're more of a person to talk about that kind of thing with the walks that you've done. When you're at that stage where you want to give up, what keeps you going?
Very good. Well, that's a great question, and I think it depends on the situation. I think, firstly, I thought I was asking the questions, but thank you very much. But you can see how less confident
Flipped
it
it
is
on you.
on me. But it is a great question, and there's sometimes I don't know. As I say, there's sometimes it can be a music. You know, sometimes it can be a song that clicks into your headphones, and it's the next song, and it's something that might just push you up a hill. Something that takes you to an emotional moment. You think, "I've got this." It might be sometimes that you think, "I can't let other people do that down," especially the charity stuff. You do really feel that you're not doing it for you; you're doing it for other people, and
Yeah.
I think again, having people like yourself, and as I say, I've had Goddo with me on the other walks as well. Having someone else is good as well, and having that conversation, because sometimes that person could just push you up a hill. Seeing your family if you're near the finish line, there's so many little bits and pieces. I think the biggest thing is it's staying out your brain, and I know that sounds it's not simple. Of course, it's not, but that negativity can creep in, and it can creep in more,
Negative
especially when you're tired.
self-talk, yeah.
Yeah, especially when that tiredness comes in, that self-talk comes in, where at mile one you feel, I've got 5 miles and I'll be here. At mile 25, in 5 miles, you're like, don't talk to me about 5 miles, but it's the same distance. But because your brain is in such a different place and a tired place, yeah, it's about stopping the mind talk, but it's about challenging yourself and just trying to think why you're doing it. I think that's the biggest thing, and I think it was immense. And like I said, I don't think of ours as an epic 30-mile walk, 32-mile walk. I
32
should
miles, yeah.
thank you. He always does remind me if I do say 30. It isn't about that. It was about, actually, I would never change spending that time with a friend, with someone that you can just sit and have that time with. We can look back in years to come when we can't move anymore, even when we're not here anymore, and think you had that opportunity to spend a day with someone. And like I said, I've walked away from it in a way that I just feel so positive. And there's not one
That's a,
walk that I
it's a
haven't.
great point. That's a great point with activity and exercise in general, isn't it? Having someone to do it with
Mm,
is a big factor. Someone that's going to keep you, keep pushing you, and that camaraderie. It's when we say about what gets people started. That's a great point. Is doing it with friends,
absolutely.
having that someone to answer to, that someone to push you, and I can guarantee if I was on my own that day, I'd have stopped at about 25 miles. But because I was with you, it pushes you on, doesn't it? You keep going, and we might have gone a bit quiet towards the end of the walk, but we were there together, and
Mm.
we achieved something, and it was great.
And I think sometimes that's those moments. I think and you know me, I'm a talker. We don't need anyone to
And
tell
I'm
us.
not.
But it's those quiet moments. It's the moments where you are just together with someone else's feet, and you feel you can be silent with that other person, but you're both putting one foot in front of the other and getting there. It is, and it is. It has probably been one of the main reasons that I'm where I am with my own happiness is those things. At the time, yeah, I can be quite grumpy, and I do owe a lot of apologies to people that might have walked with me, and I get snapped the question, how are you getting on? Hey, all right, I'm all right. Don't stop asking me. Don't judge me by that moment. Judge me by the fact that I'm walking with you and I'm enjoying that time and that moment, and that's really, really important. And like you say, if you did it if you did weights and you went to a certain level, you'd have a spotter, wouldn't you? You'd have someone with you who would make sure that you're lifting okay, that you're doing what you need to do. And it's no different with the walk. You've just got someone, and again, it's that safety thing as well. You've got someone else with you. If something goes wrong, you've got someone with you who can help you, who cares for you in that moment, and it's brilliant. Um, and we
Again,
want, yeah,
it's what I would
please.
say. All the segments, these 6 orange segments, bleed into each other, don't they? So obviously, nutrition's a big part of activity, and we're talking about the comfort pandemic, as everyone knows, there's a depression, anxiety, and pandemic, and all these things are help with that each segment. And activity is a huge one for anxiety and depression. It certainly lifted me out of some dark places, and yeah, absolutely, that's a big point. For anxiety and depression, big help for anxiety and depression, along with all these segments, but activity is a huge one.
Absolutely. And again, we reach out for people. Tell us what you're getting up to. Tell us what you're doing. Tell us if you need that motivation. Let us be your motivation in your ear. If this is the podcast you listen to while you're trying to do any activity, we are going to be your spotters. We are going to be there at the side to just listen to talk. Even if it just gets you through to that next minute of the exercise, we are here and we want to help. I do really have to stress though, and I will be doing this over the next couple of episodes, anyone who is making massive changes for their activity or even any change to their activity, it is always wise to speak to your doctor, your consultant, anyone clinician. If you're under certain um, medical or hospital areas, please just make sure you speak to people. We want people to be more active, but we want people to be more safe and to do it the right way. So if you are getting involved in activity, just make sure you're speaking to the right professionals about it.
Absolutely.
Thanks for listening to today's episode on activity. And as we have said in the episode, please make sure if you are going to make any changes to your activity, that you do speak to someone from the medical profession, your doctor or hospital, just to make sure that it is safe for you to do so. In next week's episode, we're going to be talking about nutrition, and this can also help support that activity. So I can't wait for you to be introduced to what we're going to be talking about as we go through nutrition. Until then, as ever, don't forget to reach out to the podcast. Once again, we will show you how you can do that in the next clip. And as ever, goodbye and take care. At the Inside the Orange podcast, we're about creating positive change through organisation, reading, activity, nutrition, gratitude, and engagement. And you can follow us on YouTube, Instagram at Inside the Orange, on X at Orange Watts, and the Inside the Orange podcast on Facebook. We want you to reach out and help build the community.